What is the number one reason why people fail in business and in life? The answer may surprise you, so stay tuned. We're going to talk all about it. Hello, everyone. I am Chaffee-Thanh Nguyen, and right over here is
Scott Patton.
Scott Patton. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. I'm ready to be shocked and amazed by your words of wisdom this week.
Shocked and amazed. You know, I've asked this question to a lot of people when I go teach and talk at different events. I say, what's the biggest reason why you fail? And I hear all these different reasons, right? I mean, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have I don't have enough of everything under the moon, right? Only, Scott, there is one thing that I found and I've learned. Actually, I learned this from one of the greatest speakers out there. His name's
thank you. I'm glad you learned something from me.
I did say one of the greatest speakers out there. One of the greatest speakers out there. His name's Les Brown. And,
he's amazing.
Mr. Les Brown is absolutely phenomenal, absolutely amazing, and comes from a humble background and worked his way up to the top. And this is something I've learned from him. And do you know what that is, Scott? What is the number one reason why people fail in business and life? Well, I think you know, because it's the topic for this week and we talked about it beforehand, so you probably know.
Not getting out of bed in the morning.
That is a good one. Like I said, every reason under the sun. Well, Scott, the answer is, and like I said, most people are surprised about this, only is that they aim too low on their goals and they hit them. Right? So they set these low goals, these low bars to attain, and they hit their goals and they go, yay, I made my goal. I'm so happy. And then that's it, right?
The bank account doesn't get that much bigger.
That's right. And so, you know, they don't set these big goals. They don't think big. They just think, you know, I can achieve this and that's what I'm going to do. And they hit that goal and they're happy with their life and they never hit their full potential. And so that's what today is going to be. We're going to be talking about today, Scott, is about thinking bigger, thinking big, thinking bigger.
Cool. Yeah, you remind me of the old saying, you know, aim for the moon, hit the mountains, aim for the stars, hit the moon.
Yes. Norman Vincent Peale said that. Actually,
I just said it.
Well, you said it too, only he said it originally in his book, Positive Thinking.
Positive Thinking.
Which you haven't read, you should read that book.
You should. It's amazing. Positive thinking, to go off on a tangent for a second, has got a bit of a bad rap the last few decades, where it's like, and it's not, and I think what happens is they parody it as, oh, things are good, you know, positive thinking, while everything is being destroyed around them. And that's not what it is. It's holding on to a positive result, seeing the result positively, and then taking your steps towards creating that, as opposed to, you know, sitting in a field of flowers and butterflies humming in the afternoon sun and then wondering why your 100,000 Mercedes-Benz hasn't shown up.
So this is a little off tangent, like you said, Scott.
My job.
And we always go off tangent, right? Every time you say positive thinking, though, it brings to mind the SNL skit Stuart Smiley. I don't know if you know that one.
I don't.
I forget. I think it's Phil Hartman that did it back in the early 90s. And it was, he played this character called Stuart Smiley, who would look in the mirror every single day and just say, I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. I'm bright enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. And so he would just go throughout the day saying that, gosh darn it, people like me. And then anything bad that would happen, he would just have that, you know, look in the mirror and say the same things over and over again. And that was his positive thinking mindset. And so, that skit comes to me. And I think that kind of, as you said, perpetuated that negative thought of positive thinking.
Right.
And in reality, this brings into another tangent as we go down the rabbit hole, which is this movie that came out a few years ago called The Secret. And The Secret was all about this thing called the law of attraction. And I know most people don't understand the law of attraction. I actually did trainings on it and taught the law of attraction and everything. That too kind of embodies this thing called positive thinking, right, Scott?
Right. Yeah. In both the positive and the negative aspects of it, because
yes,
you need to take action. And it was interesting when you started talking about, thinking bigger, or, think big, think bigger. And, I wonder if we ever achieve, no matter what we do, our full potential. And I suspect the answer is no, because once you get to a certain level, there's always another level that you can go. I don't know that if you're a sprinter in the Olympics, and you can go much faster than they've been going, but they keep breaking the record. So I don't know when they're going to get to 10 seconds or a half a second to do the 100-meter. But one of the things that came up when you were talking for me was sometimes, like I started so I don't know about you, Chaffee, but I can tell you that my life has not always been sunshine and roses. I've had stormy days and people stomping on my garden. And
there's always out your window. There's always something tropical blowing by. You're always somewhere new.
This is now. And this is not the way my life has been its entire life. It has had its peaks and it has had its valleys. And I was in a really dark valley once, about 20 odd years ago, when I had gone through a divorce. I was afraid I was going to lose access to my children. I was unemployed, my business, because I had started my own business. And as you can imagine, I'm one of the only people in the world who starts a business that doesn't succeed on the first go around. Everybody else, they just start a business and boom, they're multimillionaires. Me, I started a whole pile of them, and it was just like nothing worked. And of course, that was because I wasn't working. Not to say I wasn't like putting in effort, but there's working at the right things and there's working at the wrong things, and you have to kind of figure out what all that is. And my confidence was absolutely zero, minus 100 even. And I remember sitting and thinking, because when you talk about thinking big, you're talking about thinking about bigger goals, right? And so I sat there and I thought, I have no confidence. I don't think I can do anything. So what could I do? And I said, I could walk around the block. So that's what I did. Is I walked around the block and I said, yay! I set a goal and I achieved it. And then every day I would walk around the block, maybe twice around the block. And I was just recognized that my poor little confidence muscle was flabby and weak, and I needed to do something to increase my confidence. And over time, then it was, well, what's another goal? And what's another? And I created these teeny weeny little goals. So the opposite of what you just said, so that I could actually build my confidence up so that I could have bigger goals, and then I could achieve those bigger goals. And of course, one of my goals is travel around the world, not sit and laze around on beaches, but have beaches where I could go for part of the day, or a hammock, or a pool or something like that, or a mountain that I could walk on. And that's been kind of my life for the last few years. But I always remember back to when I was in that valley and just like, what do I need to do to get out of it? And it was just, take that step, take that step, take that step. And I knew that if I said, well, my goal is to make $1 million this year, my confidence and my subconscious would just laugh and it wouldn't happen. So
Scott, this whole topic we're talking about, think bigger and set bigger goals. Aren't we just setting people up for failure then?
Well, no, because I said, I set a goal of walking around the block, and then I set a bigger goal of walking around the block and doing something else, and then a bigger goal of walking around the block twice and 2 other things. So I'm contradicting myself. I know I was actually setting bigger and bigger and bigger goals, because my goals in the beginning were they were not actually, right? Like, it was like, how am I going to pay the rent would be my biggest goal, right? Because that's where I was totally in survival mode.
Yeah. So there, that's the difference though. I mean, it really depends on what level you are in life, right? Where you're at in life, where you're positioned. And if you're on survival mode, setting these big, humongous goals of, making millions of dollars and living in a mansion, when you're, on the verge of bankruptcy, unemployed with no support, that is setting yourself up for failure. So we're not saying that's what you should do, right? We're not saying that you should, in that situation, set these huge, humongous goals that that you'll never achieve, because you're not mentally prepared. You're not, in the right frame of mind. You're not in the right space to achieve that. And so what we're saying is you need to set bigger goals, or goals that are in alignment with where you're at in life and what you can achieve. And if you're in a position of, what I love is, when you're already successful, you want to set even higher, bigger goals. And that's really what we're talking about, is when you're in a position of you're moving through in life, you're setting goals, you're working towards things, then you want to set bigger and bigger goals, as you said, Scott, not to set yourself up for failure, only to push yourself beyond where you're currently at, to move yourself out of your comfort zone. And I love, there's a quote, I forget who it's by, only they say that you should set goals that it is impossible for you to reach alone, because it forces you to seek others and work with others in order to achieve something greater than yourself, right?
Right.
So it's something that that is possible to achieve because other people have achieved it. And you'd also know that in order to achieve it, you need additional resources, additional help, additional support. And so it forces you to get out of your comfort zone, to go find that help, find that support to achieve those goals.
Right. There's very few people that achieve anything in life alone, like totally alone.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, it's just unrealistic to expect. That's a really good point. And the other thing too is when you think bigger, you're able to, this is one of the things in The Secret, I bet, you're able to attract more people to your mission, right? So we talk about goals, but it also could be like a mission or a purpose. And people want to follow big missions. Like, they don't really want to follow small missions. They want to make a difference, right? And so if you have a small goal in life, that sometimes is harder to achieve than a big goal in life. Because if I say, I want to feed one starving person in the world, and can you help me, Chaffee? You're probably going to say, well, not really, Scott, because how much is it to feed one person? You make enough money, just do it yourself, right? But if I want to feed, 10,000 people who are suffering in the ghettos of Medellin, Colombia, where I am right now, then I can't do that by myself, right? I don't have the resources to do that. But you might, or you might say, you know what? I know somebody that would really like to be involved in that project. And someone else would say, yeah, I'd really like to be involved in that project. And yeah, I would. And I'd like to be involved. I don't have any money, but I'll help carry the food up, or I'll grow the food and send it to you, or whatever it is. And all of a sudden you've got people, working together on a common goal, common mission. And it's funny to say that would probably be a lot easier to do than feeding one person, but that's something a lot of people can get behind. Feeding one person, I'm not so sure that excites too many people, right?
Well, that concept that you said there, Scott, is actually having a powerful vision, setting a powerful vision that motivates and inspires the people that you work with. And so large organizations that have grown to multi-billion-dollar companies start with that great vision where one person is unable to achieve that. A good example of that is Zappos, which is the shoe company, right? every shoe that they sold, they donated a pair of shoes, and they, you know, focused on customer service. And that was, you know, that philosophy of helping millions, hundreds and thousands of millions of people across the world wear shoes, right? Motivated and inspired a whole group of people working for that company to do more, sell more shoes, and grow that company even greater. And so having that big vision like that is what really gathers the people around you, inspires them to work with you in order to create something bigger and greater than yourself. So if, like you said, if you just wanted to, you know, get shoes for you and your
get
family,
one pair of shoes from some little kid in the Amazon.
that's right.
You're not going to motivate the customer service people, right?
Yeah.
But to put shoes on as many people as we can, or however you want to word the mission, that's pretty amazing.
And so that's the other thing too, is, you know, when you're thinking bigger, when you're thinking of setting higher goals, you know, is that something that benefits other people? Is that something that helps other people? And how much does it help other people, what you're doing, and what's that progression, right? So if you're setting a bigger goal and saying, you know, instead of making $1 million, I want to make $2 million, right? Well, that's a bigger goal. Yes. That, you know, it's thinking bigger. Yes. You got to do more to create more. And that's not really doing a lot to inspire people. That's not really doing a lot to help people, right?
You're telling me that if I tell my customer service clerks that are on the phone every day talking to people about shoes that the goal of the company is to make me 2 million instead of 1 million, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, I can get behind that goal?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think you understand why, Scott.
Yeah. People want to be part of something that's bigger than themselves, that they can feel like they're contributing. And when you create those bigger goals and those bigger aspirations, I think what you said was really important. You need to put it into, it has to be more than just the dollars, right? Because one of my friends said, once you're making, and this was like 10 or 15 years ago, so the dollar amount might be more, but he said, once someone's making $70,000 or $80,000 a year, their lifestyle is not much different than someone making 250. And then the motivation has to be beyond just the money, right? Like when I was in my deep, dark depression, $1,000 meant an awful lot. And someone who's got $1 million mansion, $1,000 is like, a cup of coffee or something like that, right? It's not that motivating. But
it's funny you say that. I watched a show called Shark Tank on TV, and it's where these entrepreneurs go in front of these sharks, right, venture capitalists, and present their business and ask for money. And a lot of times, these entrepreneurs, they're asking for 20,000, 50,000, something less than 100,000. And in today's numbers, anything under 100,000 really, I hate to say it, it's really not that much when it comes to business, right? And so they're asking for like $50,000, and it's life changing for them.
Right.
Or with these sharks, they sit there, and they're like billionaires, they're multimillionaires. They got $350, $500 million, and like $50,000, they're all fighting over it like it's a big thing, and it's like loose change for them. It's like, dude, you could just like flip 50 grand in a day, and not like you make that in a day, right? It's not a big deal for you. So it's just the dynamic there is like, oh, they're fighting and clawing for this product for $50,000. I'm like, just offer them 75. They'll take the deal. So
yeah.
But it is, you do need to, again, have bigger goals that stretch the imagination, that inspire you. And that, I think that's the key word, Scott, is that it's got to inspire you to do more, to create more, to go out there and build more, right? Because if it's not inspiring, if it's just, a number, or if it's just something personal and it doesn't really motivate anybody to help you, then there's a good chance you are setting yourself up for failure. There's a good chance that you won't reach what you're looking for. So What is that inspiration, that passion, that motivation that drives you? And how do you create a goal out of that that's so big that you go, wow, I really, really want to accomplish this? And it moves you to do a lot more than you would normally do.
Yeah, and I would add to that the only way you're going to get an answer to that question is having time with the TV off, maybe by a river that's with nobody around, or a lake or a beach.
Like, how do you buy a river? Like, that's a huge inspiring goal. Buy a river, Scott.
You can sit beside a river for free.
Okay.
So sit by a river. Sit by a river.
Got it.
Not by the river. But this is one of those things where you really have to go inside and find and look at who you are, what does motivate you, what does inspire you, and what do you want to accomplish in our lives. And sadly, so many people, all I see them do is sit in front of the TV, watch the soccer game down here in Colombia, or the hockey game up in Canada, and have their beer and not really think about anything. They just they've got this routine and they live the routine. And you're going to have a routine life if you live a routine life. And if you want to have a spectacular life, then you're going to have to work at it, because a lot of things in our society are geared to distract us, to get us away from living to our full potential, because, hey, we need people that are clerks at Walmart, right?
Yeah, and that is a downfall of society in general, I would say, Scott. I mean, is that there are those in power, right? Those that are wealthy, those that are in government, those that are in the top of companies, that really just want you to go to work 9 to 5 and get your paycheck, because that helps them, right? It doesn't help you, other than it gets you by every day, right? It gets you in that, what we call that rat race, where you're just going around in circles. You make your good, 70, 50, 75, 100 grand, whatever it is, and you live your life. And so that's what they want. And so there's this program out there to, and it starts in school, right? Go to school, get good grades, and get a good job, right? That's the mantra I was raised with. Go get.
Well, you forgot one step. Go to university and get a $200,000 student loan that you can never pay back.
Yeah, that's newer. Didn't used to be like that.
No, not when I went to university. It was like $400 a semester. I worked part-time, paid for it. Now it's a small fortune for some of these courses, and that's a big yoke on people. Like, you've got this big debt over your head, and that's going to interfere with your thinking. It's going to interfere with your success. And so and of course, when people do that is when they're young and they haven't watched us and haven't learned, and they don't have the experience.
I was just talking with somebody 2 days ago at a lunch, and just a young kid, 20, I think he's 21. And he dropped out of college, right? So he went 3 years to college. And I said, well, what was your major? He's like, I was just getting a marketing degree because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so he's going to school, getting a marketing degree because he didn't know what to do. And then COVID hit, right? And then he said, I didn't really want to pay for another year of college. I mean, he was just starting his senior year. So he had 1 year of college left to graduate in a marketing degree because he didn't know what to do. And he's like, I didn't feel like paying full price to go to college for a virtual lesson because of COVID. And then he said, it was $70,000 a year. So here he is. He went to school for 3 years at $70,000 a year just to go to school, because that's what he was taught, $210,000 over 3 years. He had another year left in order to graduate, and it was a degree he just chose because he didn't know what to do. So, almost $300,000 in student debt or college debt. And, it was because that's what I was taught. I didn't know what to do. I just chose a major. And fortunately for him, he dropped out his last year and got a job. Now he's working. And so, it's one of those, though.
But he's still got a big hole.
He's still in a big hole, and it's a common story in the United States today. I don't know about other countries, only in the United States. You have this $200,000-$300,000 in debt and a major that, either, you didn't really want, or you didn't really know what you wanted, and, you just chose something, and you just did it because that's what you're programmed to do. And then, you get a job in a corporate world, making $50,000, or, the average, I think, is like $60,000 a year. And, it takes you forever to pay everything back because you have all these other expenses in addition to that college debt. So,
Yeah.
and let's not talk about the medical industry. If you go and become a doctor, it takes 9 years of school. So,
yeah. And you probably got $500,000 or $1 million in debt that you have to pay off.
yeah. So,
and that's not freedom.
No. And that's, and again, it's unfortunate that that's what the system, right, programs into people, into thinking and acting and living, versus thinking bigger, going out there and following your passion, finding something that you're good at, finding something that inspires you, motivates you to go out there and do it. And that's why you see, Scott, a lot of high school and college dropouts do well. I mean, not a whole ton of them, because they still struggle or they're still learning. Only there's a lot of them, if you look at some of the ultra successful individuals, is that they're not programmed in a certain way. And so they go out there and do what they want to do. They go out there and do what inspires them. And that's how they create these, big multi-million-dollar companies and businesses.
Yeah. Both Steve Jobs and Bill Gates dropped out of college or university.
And so did Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that part of his story, but yeah. So that's it, kids. Drop out of university, become the next Mark Zuckerberg, and make sure to send Chaffee and I a small portion in appreciation.
That's right. No, the reality is that you should I think you should go to university, go to college, if that's what you want, right? If that's what, I think there's how do you say it? There's a period of your life where you could enjoy that college life, right? And experience new things, and meet new people. And that happens in college. Only you should do that because you want to, not because you have to, not because that's what you're forced to do.
Right.
And so,
go to a college that you can afford.
And go to a college you can afford. I mean, there's great community colleges, local colleges. You don't have to go to these Ivy League colleges to experience this new experience, this new life. Go to a college you can afford, enjoy it, learn some things that you want to learn, not some things that you have to learn because you're going for a degree that somebody told you that you had to get.
Right?
And experience that. So, and it's okay to do it part-time as well, right? I mean, you don't have to go to college full-time. You can go part-time, take a couple classes, and find a job and experience life that way as well.
Right.
Or start a business on the side, right? Something new, something different. Only do what is you're passionate about, as long as it's ethical and responsible and legal, right? So,
and something that can grow and get bigger, because
Yes.
This episode is all about thinking bigger. So Chaffee, I think you just sort of summed it up really well at the end. Any last comments before we finish?
The last comments is what we had talked about earlier, Scott, which is that your potential as a human being, your potential as an individual is unlimited. And the reason why most people fail, this is why I started with, the reason why most people fail is that they don't realize how unlimited their potential is. And they set these low goals in life that they were programmed to understand, that they were programmed to reach, and they reach those goals and they're happy, right? And so if you want to really experience what it is like to live life fully and to reach your highest potential, higher, bigger, is you got to think bigger. You got to do more. You got to do what's inspiring. You got to follow your passions. And you got to obviously be legal, ethical, and responsible with it.
Awesome. So we're going to show you where you can get a hold of Chaffee if you've got some business ideas and you want to grow your business and think bigger right now. I love that cube that opens up. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Chaffee, really appreciate you. Really appreciate having you on the show. Lots of words of wisdom as usual. Join us every week around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central. We're both in the Central time zone right now. And if you've got any questions, put them in the comments. Even if it's no longer live, and we'll answer them or do our best in a future show to cover them. And until next time, think bigger, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.